Have you ever been in front of a notary public, been asked to raise your right hand and swear that what you're signing is the honest-to-goodness truth? It can feel like just another quick, routine step, but it's actually one of the most important promises you can make. Today, we're going to break down why this simple act is a total cornerstone of legal trust. Okay, so let's just get right into it. Why the whole ceremony? Why can't you just sign the paper and be on your way? What is the real purpose of having to swear or affirm something in front of a notary? Well, the answer, when you boil it all down, is incredibly simple: to prevent fraud. This whole procedure is specifically designed to turn your signature from just ink on a page into a verified, accountable promise. It makes it so much harder for someone to lie, or, just as importantly, to be forced into signing something they don't agree with. Right, so this word, notarization, it's way more than just a fancy rubber stamp. Think of it as a formal process where the notary is an impartial gatekeeper. Their entire job is to make sure that the document is legit, that your signature is really yours, and that you're signing it willingly and understand you're bound to be truthful. Now, a huge part of that process is the verbal ceremony. And believe me, this isn't just some casual conversation. It's a legally required step that gives your signature its real power. And that ceremony has a very clear 4-step structure. First off, you have to be physically there. No phone-ins. Second, the notary has to verify who you are, usually with an ID. Third, you get that formal gesture, raising your right hand, which is really meant to make you pause and think about the seriousness of the moment. And then finally, the notary actually says the words, administering the oath or affirmation. And how you answer here is absolutely critical. The National Notary Association makes it crystal clear. You can't just nod your head or mumble, uh-huh. You have to give a clear, audible answer like yes or I do. Why? Because that specific verbal confirmation is the exact moment you are officially placed under penalty of perjury. You are now legally bound to your statement. Now, here's something interesting. When you make this promise, you actually have a choice. The notary should ask you if you want to swear an oath or make an affirmation. So, what's the difference? Well, it's pretty straightforward. An oath is a promise that calls upon a higher power. It's the one that often ends with the phrase, "So help you God." An affirmation, on the other hand, does the exact same thing legally, but it's made based on your own personal honor, with zero religious reference. The choice is completely yours. And this choice exists for a really important reason: to respect everyone's personal beliefs. As this comment from a legal forum points out, an atheist might object to swearing to a god they don't believe in. And some religions, like the Quakers, actually believe they're instructed not to swear oaths at all. So the law provides the affirmation as an equally powerful alternative. And this is the most crucial point to remember. Whether you choose to swear or to affirm, the legal impact is exactly the same. One is not stronger or more serious than the other. Both are 100% legally binding, and the consequences for lying are identical. Okay, so what happens if you don't play by the rules? What if you refuse to make the promise in the first place? Or even worse, what if you make the promise and then you lie? So let's take that first scenario. You're standing in front of the notary, they ask you to make your solemn promise, and you just flat out say, "Nope, not doing it." What happens then? The answer is simple. The whole process stops, dead in its tracks. For certain documents, especially things like affidavits, which are basically written statements used as evidence in court, that verbal ceremony is non-negotiable. Without the oath or affirmation, the notary legally cannot complete their job, and that document is considered invalid. But now for the much more serious situation. What happens if you go through with the ceremony, you promise to be truthful, and then you knowingly lie in the document you just put your name on? Well, this is when you cross a line into committing a very serious crime, perjury. And the definition is right there. It's the crime of knowingly making a false statement under oath. That very phrase, under penalty of perjury, is exactly what you agree to the second you swear or affirm before a notary. And this notarial certificate is basically the physical proof of that promise. You see where it says signed and sworn to or affirmed before me? That language, combined with the notary's signature and seal, is what legally transforms your signature into a sworn statement. It makes you accountable for every word in that document. And lying under oath is not taken lightly. It's seen as a direct attack on the entirety of our entire justice system, and the penalties are severe.
A conviction could mean a felony on your record, massive fines, and even a prison sentence of up to 5 years. It is no joke. So let's wrap all this up. That verbal ceremony, the whole swear or affirm part, it's not just a tradition or formality. It is the precise legal moment that turns a simple signature into a binding promise of truth, a promise that has serious accountability attached to it. And ultimately, this small but really powerful act is what underpins the trust in our entire legal and financial systems. It ensures that we can rely on everything from a multi-million-dollar real estate deal to the affidavits used as evidence in a courtroom.
You know, we have that old saying, your word is your bond. But this whole process forces us to think about a much deeper question. When you raise your hand before a notary, you're standing on the exact line where your word can go from being a promise to being a crime.